Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike Powell from EBV, and I'm very happy to be here today to talk about our product IoTConnect, which is built on AWS's IoT microservices. Our mission really is to make life as easy as possible for the kind of customers which we serve in our markets. So these are the very simple agenda. Who are we? How are we solving developer challenges for IoT products? And really what we're talking about here are people who make end products, so connected devices. And we're going to show you some examples of different IoT devices which use IoTConnect in their development pathways. So EBV actually is part of the Avnet group of companies. Avnet is quite a big company, about nearly 25 billion US dollars. That makes it one of the biggest global distributors of electronic components on the planet. So we serve many markets. So whatever's in your pocket, whatever's in your laptop, whatever you've got at home is very likely to have been delivered using Avnet and EBV component services. So we're a big company, and we've been doing that job for a very long time. We've been serving the electronics industry for a very long time, and it's not just about holding stock of electronic components so customers will come along and just buy them. These devices are incredibly complex now. You've got AI chips and you've got very complex computer chips and so on, and they need engineering expertise to be able to sell them and give customers the all of the services that they need to make those things happen. And more recently, of course, with the invention of IoT or the advent of IoT, it's true of that phenomena as well. So IoT is no different. So yeah, 15,000 employees, of which I'm just one. Big turnover and lots of customers. As EBV, we're mostly located in Europe. We have some outreach down in South Africa and a little bit out in Hong Kong, but we're mostly a European-based company. We're something like just under 3 billion US dollars here in Europe. 21 core franchises, including ST, NXP, Infineon, Renesas, and so on. So yeah. Into IoT then. So really, how are we solving the challenges that customers face in delivering IoT solutions? Well, IoT is becoming a more and more complex proposition every day. Multiple different kinds of devices out there, from edge gateways down to very small outline network connected sensors. You've got cameras, you've got robots, you've got all kinds of things that communicate in different ways, but all expected to be aggregated into a cloud service. And that's really the ultimate goal: is that all the data looks the same, and therefore we can then make some leveled decisions on that data that we receive. And our mission really is to make all of that a lot easier than it looks, and actually is. Even here, even at this point here, when these devices are communicating via a gateway into the cloud, you've got things like LoRaWAN, you've got cellular, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got all kinds of different ways of communicating, some of which are more straightforward than others. So edge device makers, edge device makers are product designers. They use the chips which we sell. Those guys have a certain way of building products. There's a certain design flow that they use. There are certain pieces of kit that we can give them to help them on their design journey, and bits of software. And they've been doing that the same way for a long period of time. What they lack is a deep expertise in how to use the cloud. That's kind of on the solution provider side as well, IoT implementations are actually complex. If you're wanting to produce a whole solution, ignore it. So you ignore the edge device for a second, but you're looking at a business challenge which you're trying to solve. That's the whole point of IoT, to make business decisions a lot easier than they were in the past. Then what you look at when you bring a whole solution together is a lot of complex things that need to come together to make that all work. And the return on investment is you need to know what your return on investment is going to be before you start on an IoT project. So in other words, what's the efficiency gain you're going to get, or the sale of new services that you're going to get that pays for the investment that you're going to make in your IoT project. If you have that super clear at the outset of your project, everything will be fine, because your goal will be very clear, your outcomes will be very clear as well. So our product, IoTConnect, aims to cover the whole width of that process. So we cover the design of the device itself, all the way through the gateway part into the cloud services, and making decisions in a dashboard as well. So the whole thing is covered to make the process as simple as possible. So a bit more about IoTConnect then. So essentially, the way the story starts is you start with a thing. In our world, in the electronic component world, that can be anything. I mean, that can be, here we've got an example of a connected soap dispenser. It could be a connected anything, the smallest, tiniest device to quite a complex device. And we see, at Avnet, we see all types of devices, in actual fact. Could also be an industrial gateway. An industrial gateway could be communicating with a piece of production machinery, piece of automation in a production process. But it could be also anything in between those two things. And a connected soap dispenser, for example, might have a little sensor just to detect the level of the soap. It might have a little communications device in there, which can also be produced quite cheaply. And then the challenge will be, as a designer, how do I connect that to a cloud service and get some business outcomes from it? So, for example, I know when I need to visit a facility to change the soap, or whatever that happens to be, whatever the business objective happens to be. So there are some examples of the insights that we're looking for. We're either looking for some usage monitoring, or we're looking for some predictive maintenance, or even anomaly detection, for example, in a piece of machinery. That's what we want to do. And where we fit is in the middle. So those of you who are already familiar with AWS microservices, you'll see there's just a small number of them at the bottom there. And what we do is inside IoTConnect is we abstract all of those services, around 40 of them, and we produce an easy-to-use single pane of glass experience to do everything that you need to do in the world of device management, user management, creating rules and notifications for your own IoT project. And we worked on the principle that 80%, if we produce a product that fits 80% of the market, and does 80% of what most people really want to do. So, most people will just want to do simple threshold detection, for example. We do way more than that. We can do complex rule management, for example. We can do machine learning, and we can push models to the edge. We can do all kinds of quite complex things inside IoTConnect. Again, the way that we've designed this is that you'll not see a single microservice there. The whole experience is web-based. You can configure your rules using drop-downs and value inputs. So it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, there's a nice collection of services there that we bring together into that single solution. One interface that does pretty much everything. The other way that we assist customers is with the use of software. So now we're zooming right back out into the device world again. And that's a world that, unless you are a product designer, are there any product designers here who use devices? Yeah, one or two. So there are a few people here who understand the design flow of how you create a product from using a microprocessor. But there's a certain way of working that we understand, and we've made that easy as well. So we have a program which we call device enablement. Effectively, what that means is you might have a certain device that you want to work with. Let's call it an STM32, for example, from ST Microelectronics. It could be a product from Infineon. It could be a product from NXP. You'll pick your favorite device, or we'll help you select a certain device. And then we'll provide you with a little bit of software. And we've got a bit of software for all of the leading MCU devices which we sell. And you'll have a development kit, which we provide as well. And a little bit of software will exist on that development kit, and all of a sudden you're connected to IoTConnect. What that means is you're at the beginning of your product development. You've actually now got a working IoT product, and you can communicate with the sensors on that device. You can pull those sensor values into IoTConnect. You can combine those values in any way you like in IoTConnect, and you can create rules and notifications any way that you like. So, there are plenty of device types, and we can cope with all of them. We work with lots of different real-time operating systems. The real-time operating system is the thing that operates on the device itself, and we can operate with many of them. And at the top, we've got some core services which we use as well. So obviously we use AWS's IoT Core. We've integrated the ability for IoTConnect to work with LoRaWAN. So if you have a LoRaWAN project, LoRaWAN meaning you want to communicate by radio over a very long distance, but it's a small packets of data. Could be, for example, you want to detect the level of water in a water tank remotely, but you only need to do that once every half an hour or 1 hour or so. So you don't need a lot of data to do that. So LoRaWAN would be ideal for that kind of application. We support LoRaWAN as well. And then we've also integrated the ability to use Greengrass as well in edge server applications. So I hope you can see that we're working hard to integrate as many of the newest services and most popular services that AWS has into our product, and making it available to product designers and product producers. So again, just looking into the market a little bit and the different personas that there are out there. There's cloud developer and data science specialists. There's device builders and deployment manufacturers and application and user experience developers. All have different skill sets. And really this is another way of looking at IoTConnect. Really what we're trying to do is to unite all of those together with our single pane of glass experience, so that all of those different personas can create applications and use the product with each other. Otherwise, you have gaps and partitioning in your development teams that don't necessarily live as well together as they could. So there, if you think about AI a little bit as well, so we can also deliver AI solutions using IoTConnect as well, and again, using the same personas to do that. And again, we just make AI really, really easy to do. But just think single pane of glass for everything, and you'll probably get really what we're about. Quite often we say that IoTConnect is simple, secure, and scalable, and an IoT project, it isn't a real IoT project unless it's really got all those three things built in. Now, obviously, these days it has to be secure, and we've made sure that it is. It has to be scalable. We're built on AWS, so we know it's scalable. And we think the biggest job we did was to make IoT as simple as possible by integrating the best of AWS into our product. So just a few kind of examples of the way that it would work. So again, like I mentioned before, if you're starting out on a product design, then here's just a few of the different boards that you can buy. So a word on what a board is. If you're not a product designer, the way that world works is, if you want to develop with a certain microprocessor product, all the chip companies will sell you a development kit which looks like this. It looks like a board. It looks like a Raspberry Pi, or it looks like something similar to that. It's an open board. It usually comes with some applications on board, but what we do, and usually there's things like an Ethernet connector, there's Wi-Fi on board, there's maybe a little display also, something like that. Our little bit of software is installed on there. So all the software for all the different boards are located on our own GitHub. So you pull that piece of software down, sign up for IoTConnect using you can get a free IoTConnect trial for a month from us. I know it says 2 months, it will be a month. And then you can start developing your application straight away. So, it's really just 4 steps there to getting going. It couldn't really be easier than that. We're working hard to make it as easy as possible, but in the world of embedded, that's about as easy as you can get. And again, hopefully you can see, we're just trying to make things as easy as possible for customers to really get started. Here again, just a few examples of what we've done most recently. So in a smart city example, what we've been doing is, in this particular case, we worked with ST Microelectronics, a chip maker, who are also here with us at this exhibition, and with AWS and our partner Lecra in this particular case. What this board can do with AWS services and IoTConnect is it can listen to audio. So it has a microphone on board. It can detect the sound of, for example, a scream or a car racing or water escaping from a pipe. And it can say something along the lines of, I'm 60% sure that's water escaping. So there might be a leak going on somewhere. Or you could have a situation where you might have a scream and then some gunshot or something like that. And now you've got an emergency situation on your hands that you can detect. Effectively, you can now detect something going on in a remote location. So that board does the classification of what the sound is. It attaches a likelihood of what that sound is. So like I say, 60%, 70% or whatever. Both those pieces of information go to IoTConnect, and IoTConnect decides, based on the rules that you decide, what to do. And what to do might be that IoTConnect is now bridged out to an emergency services platform somewhere else, and you can deploy something, you can make something happen as a result of receiving that information from this little board. So just to put that in context, this is an STM32U5 in volume. It probably cost about $5 or $6. You've got a Wi-Fi chip on board there. You've got some power supply circuitry and so on. So you're looking at a relatively small amount of money to set up a service where you can detect things going on in remote locations using audio. Zoom out a bit. It's not just audio. It's pattern detection is really what we're talking about. So think about patterns happening in the world that you want to pick up that are complex, that system could detect. It's one example. Here's another example that we've got going as well. Obviously very popular. Quite a few of us have got solar panels. Quite a few of us have got inverters in our homes, and we're trying to save the planet by not releasing carbon into the atmosphere so much. So we have a solar inverter application, again using IoTConnect, powered by AWS. That looks at the state of a battery, that looks at the state of the grid, decides what to do with the power from the grid when the sun is shining and all those other things. Quite a complex use case, actually, when you start thinking about all the different variations there are to produce an outcome there. But that's just another example that we do. And then finally, a smart home energy management or EV charging station for your home. Again, cost management models, for example, tariff management from your power company. What does the price look like on a half hour by half hour basis, so you can decide when to charge your car, or in the future when you can draw energy back from your car into your home if you want to. I know that's not available now, but that won't be long before we can do that as well. So we've based that on a it's called an IMX8 processor. That's from NXP. Again, we've got a nice dashboard there to illustrate really what's really going on there. But again, very complex application, quite easily achievable using IoTConnect to create an outcome. So again, just want to remind you, very, very quick way of getting into IoTConnect. It's not complicated. This is actually a screenshot from our website. So you can just go to that website. When you click on Learn More, for example, on any of those boards, that takes you straight away to where you buy dev kit, where you get the software from, where you sign up for the platform, and how you really get started. And if you want to know more, please feel free to scan the QR code there. That will take you to that page I just showed you. And please contact me if you need a demo of some description. I'm just on this workstation over here. But if there are any questions from the floor, then please feel free to shout them to me now. I'm more than happy to take some questions. In that case, I'll wish you a good show. Thank you for being here, and I really appreciate it. Okay, cheers.